Welcome to your weekend intel briefing with my very good friend, former UN Security Council member, as well as Danish intelligence officer, and probably one of the most all-around good human beings I have met in my lifetime. I have broken bread with him in his home. I have shared a clubhouse with him. We've seen each other in our underwear. Please welcome, and he's drinking wine, Jacob Parsbo, ladies and gentlemen.
Cheers.
Or Jakob Karsbo, Jacob Karsbo. Follow. If you don't have him in your life, it's a real shame. It's a real shame. It's a crying shame because he gives people information days ahead and then he explains everything that happened. And we've got a Munich security conference. We got the drum beats of Greenland again. You got JD Vance. He's like, there's a couch there that I want to fuck. And then, of course, we've got, the Trump foreign policy, Marco Rubio, effectively today telling everybody to go their own way, and historic agreement between Canada and Greenland that made us both very proud yesterday. But welcome to the show, dude. I know you're getting ready and you're doing, like, what people don't know about Jacob is he's a very, very good chef. He's a cook. So what he's cooking right now for your son's birthday, and you're having a heater there tonight. And you're going to party with your kids. Is that what I understand?
Yeah, more or less. So, and it's afternoon here, so I thought I'd just get a glass of wine because the cooking gets better that way. If you're completely sober, it doesn't get that, that little nice twist that it needs.
Yeah.
So,
do you find that? You find that when you're cooking too? You're a little more adventurous. The food tastes a little better.
Yeah, it gets a bit better that way.
I know. You're just like everybody else that loves to cook, but dude, great to see you. I don't know where you want to start.
Likewise, man.
We can start in Greenland, and I think that's probably the best place to start. Historic agreement that lives outside of NATO obligations between Canada and Greenland, Canada and Denmark, where Canada and Greenland and Denmark are concerned. And I was so proud to see the people of Greenland, our friend Orla Jolsen, trumpeting this deal, Anita Anand, the foreign minister of Denmark. We even had some, a royal blessing on this as well. So walk through the importance of this agreement, because when the world contracts, Canada shows up with its partners, as does Denmark. And this is historic. So why don't you take us through it if you can real quick?
Exactly. It is historic because usually we would have these kinds of bilateral defense agreements with the US. And we've actually had to sign a defense agreement with the US not too long ago because it was all prepared under the Biden administration. Mm-hmm. And everyone is saying, why don't our government cancel it? And, they to be honest, they were afraid to cancel it because then, what would the Trump administration do? So now instead, we're making all these agreements with yourselves, with Canada, and it was the Danish government, it was the representatives from Greenland and Faroe Islands, we mustn't forget, right there in the middle of the Atlantic. Mm-hmm. Really, really important that we're doing this. So it's big for us. It's big for us, and you're big in the Arctic. And how we used to fight about Hans Island and
the whiskey wars.
The whiskey wars. The Danes were planting a bottle of schnapps, and then the Canadians would remove the schnapps and plant bourbon instead.
Yeah, that's right.
So Canadian bourbon. Maybe we should ask some of Denver Riggleman's bourbon instead.
Some Silverback. We could bring America back into the fold with whiskey. Wouldn't that be great? Yeah. We all got to Hans Island, and we're like, everybody's going to bring your booze. We're going to put it in the middle of the island, and that's going to solve the problem. Yeah.
Exactly.
But to your point, the Canada-Denmark relationship, has been incredible. But this is really a replacement of an agreement that Denmark did with the United States. Without saying they're replacing the agreement, they need new partners. Can you kind of get into what this trade and security agreement means? Why it's so important for it to sit outside of NATO, and what this means for the Arctic and Arctic Century? Because this is Canada basically saying, a little history history lesson for people. The Inuk people are 85% of the population in Greenland. The Inuk people
Yeah.
are on the island of Greenland because they came when Canada was one landmass across Davis Strait. So effectively, our Inuk and Inuit culture is your Inuit culture, and we
Yeah.
saw some tremendous representation of both cultures. But this really brings Canada and Greenland and Denmark back together in a way that kind of gives me goosebumps because of the cultural identity, but not just because of that. It's because Canada is sacking up with Denmark right now, saying,
Yeah.
"Hey, and no matter what happens, we're in." So, can you kind of talk about some of
Yeah.
those details if you can?
Well, the details, I think, most importantly, is about Arctic security and
Mm,
Canada's you know huge importance for Greenland from that perspective, and we've seen how Canada has sent ships, icebreakers, etc., up or coastal patrol boats to Greenland, and there'll be much more of those things up there in the Arctic waters between Canada and Greenland. And it's something that both our nations have refrained from doing because, well, the US was there, so who the hell cares? And now, because of the outside threat, we're waking up, and that's just really good to see. And like all Europeans and Canada, we've just been leaning back and thinking, well, the Americans will sort it out for us
mm,
eventually, anyway. But now we're coming to the fore, and I really hate, because there's this tendency in Denmark and in Europe in general to we can't do X, Y, Z. And this is like a yes, we can moment
mm,
for Canada, for Denmark, and indeed, as we saw in Munich last night, also for all of Europe. So
mm.
this is hugely important,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's just if we think back to when we were sailing there on the fjord outside of Nuuk, and I had that chat with our brilliant friend Denver Riggleman,
Mhm,
and the whole pivotal moment that we've seen Greenland be for European security, for world security, I would also argue, and for a new world order of sorts. It's just a massive moment,
mm,
and these things that are happening now underscores that, and that Denmark and Canada move together like this, sign a bilateral agreement, mutual assistance, etc., etc. And again, if we look at just Arctic military capabilities, let's not forget that if you have Canada, the Nordic countries, France, and the UK, we have 4 to 5 times as much combat capability in the Arctic as the
mhm,
Americans, for heaven's
mhm,
sakes. And
mhm,
but we've just never, felt the urge and necessity to really, put ourselves at the forefront,
yeah,
and now we have to do that. And that's why that conversation I had with Denver when we were cruising there with about
Nuke
20 knots
Fjord.
on,
Yeah,
yeah, on the Nook Fjord, and in that spectacular scenery,
mm,
will stay with me forever, because it was about the magnitude of the moment. And we can't see, we don't know exactly what's going to happen, but all these things are coming into to place now more and more, and
mm,
that's really that's fantastic. It's really emotional moments that
mm,
are happening before our eyes.
mm. Yeah, and it's wild because I was fortunate enough to be outside of that conversation, but kind of there for that conversation that you had with Denver that made you so emotional. We're, driving through Nuuk Fjord. It's this incredible fjord system, second biggest in the world. The other biggest one in the world is literally on the other side of the island of Greenland. It is so deathly spectacular and hauntingly beautiful that we realized in that moment, the United States doesn't have the fucking capability to land anywhere here, like nowhere. And number two, that preparation for this has been decades in the making, and to have that preparation meet the opportunity in this incredible moment where you have real countries with real military capability that are saying we need an agreement that sits outside of NATO so Donald Trump and the United States have nothing to do with this so that we can make sure that we're working together to prevent any kind of incursion. And again, people don't understand how close Greenland is. It literally almost shares a landmass with Canada just off the coast of
Yeah.
Baffin Island, just north of Newfoundland. And so this is really a return. I feel like it's this return of this incredibly special relationship and the awakening of two countries that are starting to believe that Big Brother doesn't matter in this conversation anymore for the first time. And not just that, but believing in their capabilities. And I want to kind of move to Munich because the Munich Security Conference is on right now. And there have been fireworks over the first couple of days. I want to get to Rubio basically telling everybody to go fuck their hats in a nice way today. But I also want us to kind of talk a little bit about how the leaders of the European Union are there. That's a different breed right now. And I don't know if it's after the Davos speech from Carney, but talk a little bit about some of the admonition that we've seen from the EU leaders, specifically in Munich at the security conference. Talk about MERS, talk about Macron, and this now nuclear umbrella that we're talking about, which is a significant escalation in the conversation here.
Exactly. I watched those two speeches. First, Chancellor Merz,
Mhm.
and you can say a lot of stuff about Merz, and people do here in Europe, and I've
Like
seen a
like
lot of
he's the
people.
like he's the prime minister of a country that's second best at handball compared to Denmark.
Exactly. He was sitting there in the
I
handball
know
when
he
we beat
was.
them.
Yeah, I watched with you.
No.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I've seen a lot of stuff on social media and commentary saying he'd rather just align with Meloni and Italy and build this bridge towards the Trump administration, etc., etc. But that's just nonsense, I have to say. And if anyone was in any doubt, they should just watch his speech
Mhm,
from Munich yesterday. For a German chancellor in front of everyone, the most important security conference in the whole world, and with all the media there, for him to say, we're talking with our French partners about a European nuclear deterrent. You know,
mhm.
I and there were even some commentators in Denmark that didn't pick it up but that's huge for a German chancellor to say, and I didn't have that on my bingo card either. And quite emotionally for us Danes, also in that speech, he addressed our prime minister directly and said, "All of Europe stands behind you
Mhm.
unconditionally." And there's only like the stooge in Budapest, Viktor Orban, that doesn't, and then perhaps Robert Fico, but the rest, they are all in there,
Well, and they're
regardless of
they're
what
and
people
they're and
say.
they're catching on. Like, I mean, I watched
Mm.
Zelensky fat shame Orban today on the
I
stage.
did. I haven't even seen that. I
Yeah,
haven't even
Zelensky, two
seen
things he said today, which is, the outlier here, obviously Hungary and Orban. But he's like, yeah, he's not interested in security. He's just interested in watching his belly get bigger. And then
uh,
Zelensky was like, and you know what? I'll consider a ceasefire if Russia holds elections. I mean,
yeah,
it's that tenor and that
yeah,
attitude,
yeah,
right? That has
yeah,
completely fucking changed, like in the last month.
yeah. Exactly, and that's the Greenland moment. What it has
Mm,
done, because you know how this year it's been quite painful to watch. You know, the Europeans weren't quite sure of themselves, and you know they were like kicking the can down the road. And
yeah.
they had. I've probably been a nuisance in Danish media because I've always been lambasting and said it'll get us nowhere. We can, you know, it might, you know, save us some time, but are we using that time constructively? I doubt it.
Yeah.
But now with the Greenland moment, there's no other way around it, and that's also why you know Zelensky feels much more at liberty in spite of these protracted, you know, this show, this masquerade of peace negotiations, to just call it right there also and say, well, if the Russians do this, we're ready. But and because that's what I've been saying all through this year, the Ukrainians know better than anyone that this is just a
It's a
masquerade,
joke.
and it's a
It's
joke.
it's it's a joke, and you know what
Yeah.
the fucking crazy part was, like, for the last, I would say, 10 months, 9 months, watching, and Canada tried to do the footsie thing at the start too a little bit, and then Carney wised up, and he's like, "There's no fucking dealing with this idiot. Like, there's just no point. We need to go do our own thing." And now
Yeah.
watching the strength of that sort of tact get employed by these leaders in the EU.
Yeah.
It's a change from that jilted lover sort of approach that all those EU leaders took. They're like, "I swear to
Yeah.
God, he's coming back. Don't,
Yeah.
guys, don't write him up, please." And they chased him
Yeah.
around and they showed up
I
to his
want you
fucking
back. I
office.
want you
"Please,
back.
you're the best. We love America. Donald Trump's done so much for us. He's done fucking
Daddy,
nothing. He's a
daddy.
retard. Please, please." So watching Catch a Callus today literally mock Mike Walls on stage, like, "Oof," and watching everybody like literally embarrass,
Yeah.
catcall the U.S. delegation was
Yeah.
offset by this Rubio speech. Can we kind of get into that a little
Yeah.
bit?
Yeah.
Because,
Just one word about
sure, yes,
Macron also.
yeah,
Now, a couple of things I noticed, because Macron, you know, is usually someone that Europeans like to criticize a whole lot. He spent first half of his speech talking about Ukraine and saying Ukraine, a deal on Ukraine without all of Europe being behind it, forget it.
mm,
We're in there, we're right behind the Ukrainians, and there can't be a deal anyway.
hmm
That was one thing. They've all read these last reports that came out. Obviously, everyone knew that, but now the data has come out. The United States, the Trump administration does sip in spite of, you know, all the rhetoric about peace through strength and all that
hmm
bullshit. That some in the media have bought. Now they have the data there, and everyone can see it's Europe that's in there. And that's also playing into it. This and Macron said something really important. He said Europe needs to become a geopolitical actor in its own right,
mm-hmm.
and that is Europeans need defense capabilities and also defense decision making
hmm
capabilities. It
hmm
can't be 27 countries. And then we have to talk to them and that capital and blah, blah, blah. The big thing
Well, and
about
there's
both
there's there's been a
MERS.
deference for a fucking long time to just pass
Yeah.
that responsibility off to the United States, and that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Sorry, the difference between MERS. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, what we're still missing from MERS and Macron is how, you know,
Mm,
how do we really get, how do we make a treaty on defense and security that allows us to be a geopolitical actor, that allows us to be agile, that allows us to put not only economic capacity behind, but also military capability.
mm.
And he said that's what we must do, but we still don't know how. So that is going to be the interesting discussion to follow in Europe now, and something where it's really necessary to push. And I think between the lines, it was quite obvious that these guys are discussing. They are discussing it. What can we do? How can we get? Some of us need to make referenda, etc., etc. And how do we do that? So I think that's also the discussion that's happening behind closed doors. How can Europe
Action
really
behind a
get them?
strategy. Yeah.
Yeah, and decision-making capability. So it's not, every capital that needs to be asked X, Y, and Z. I mean, we are sovereign nations, but sovereignty is also about being able to take decisions. So if you want European sovereignty and you want Europe to become a geopolitical actor, you can't have Denmark or Hungary playing stopping the game and etc. It would be like Maine could veto something that the U.S. wanted to do.
Hmm.
That's just stupidity.
Hmm.
So there needs to be something new going on the institutional side, really in the
Mm.
EU. So that's the thing, and just one last thing. They were both quite clear. The U.S. can be our partner, but they have under Trump, they have thrown away their
No juice.
mantle,
Yeah. Yeah.
their
No juice.
mantle as the leader of the free world, and
Yeah.
we can't stand for this shit. So that's really what's behind it. And then comes Marco Rubio. Now it's easy for me to say that I knew full well what he would do. He would try to smooth it out and say, "Ah, we are friends," and blah blah blah, all that bullshit. But I knew that. I knew that it was so predictable because what else? Then it would have been JD Vance again, or something, or someone else from the administration. But of course, they sent Rubio to just smooth it out and throw sand into the ice of Europe. But most people know it. Most people know it, and the governments know it. There are some commentators, of course, saying, "Well, if just we can hope that Rubio and blah blah blah," and I'm
I
saying
swear I hope
bullshit.
my darling comes back. Oh
Yeah,
my
exactly.
God.
I'm on my
I'm
knees.
on, please.
Bullshit. But because
Mm.
I just put out something for my Danish followers on Facebook quickly this afternoon, saying you have to realize what is Marco Rubio doing now that he's in Europe. Who's he talking to? He's traveling to Budapest
Orban.
to talk to Orban, and he's traveling to Bratislava to talk to populist Robert Fico.
Hmm.
And it was so predictable.
Yeah. And it's
Everyone.
not just what he said, which was predictable, which is, hey, everybody, it's all good.
And
But he
we can
also
be
said,
friends.
let's be friends. He also said that the time of U.S. intervention is over. He basically said told everybody to go fuck themselves at the same time in the nicest possible way. But I
Yeah,
also thought was interesting is who he didn't talk to when he was there. He was scheduled
yeah,
to meet with the Ukrainian delegation.
yeah,
And he blew it off. And why did he blow it off? Why did he blow it off? Because he has no intention, neither does the Trump regime, of having Ukraine win this war. They have no intention of aiding and abetting the Ukrainian peace initiative. And, that's the really fucking amazing part to me is sure, he
yeah,
went there and tried to tell everybody we're friends and then kind
yeah,
of did the old
yeah,
peace out. Our
yeah,
relationship's just going to be
yeah,
a little bit different now, which is his, American, it's Trumpian for saying, hey, fuck all y'all. But the other part was fascinating is that he said he was there to speak with his counterparts about bringing peace to Ukraine, and then immediately blew off the meeting with the Ukrainian people about peace in fucking Ukraine.
yeah. I mean, they had scheduled last night that meeting with, like a core group from
Yeah.
NATO and the Ukrainians, and well, he canceled it because of scheduling issues. He
Well,
was,
guess who?
you know,
Guess what's in
all
in
that.
place of that scheduled meeting is a meeting with fucking Viktor Orban.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And at the same time, last night, I hope people heard Donald Trump say Zelensky needs to hurry to sign this peace deal and all that
Called him a
usual.
dictator. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sure the Europeans are having none of it. We're still paying. We're still supporting Ukraine. We should do much more. I can point to a lot of things we should be doing also that unfortunately we're not doing, but still it's us that
Mm.
support Ukraine. The one thing we can't deliver is enough air defense systems because we don't have the industrial capability. We have the SAM-T, which is just as good on most points as the Patriot system, but we don't have the industrial capability to produce enough yet. But uh,
Hmm.
but but we'll get there
Hmm. Hmm.
somehow. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not just up to the rest of the EU. I mean, Ukraine, I think, is responsible for 70% of their munitions now. I mean, they
Mm.
have built an absolute fucking factory of
Yeah.
munitions and
And
capability and drone warfare. And then I read the other day that they had a drone training exercise with some NATO troops. I don't know if you read this. And it was like
yeah.
two drone operators took out like 4 brigades on their own in like a 2 hour time frame, and everybody that was part of that exercise looked at Ukraine and go, "Oh fuck, the rest of the world's in trouble."
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But it speaks
This
to
war's
it.
teaching them
Yeah, right. I mean,
what to do.
but it speaks to the opportunity here for everybody else involved when
Yeah,
it comes to Denmark, when it comes to Greenland, when it comes to the EU. And, when you look at Ukraine, and you've made this point several times, NATO, the EU, we need Ukraine more than we need the fucking United States of America, not
yeah,
just for their ingenuity and capability, but the intel, what they know, how
yeah,
they've been able to ramp up production to be almost 100% self-sufficient, even though that they still need that air defense support, which they're not getting, and hopefully they will.
yeah,
But we have so much to learn from the country of Ukraine. And not only
yeah,
that, they're a fucking better partner than the United States of America. I mean,
yeah,
we have Ukrainian know-how that is being put into drone manufacturing facilities here in Canada as I fucking speak. We have a security
yeah,
and trade agreement with Ukraine that exists, that was done during this war with Canada, because we saw what they were doing and said, teach us, help us. Now the
yeah,
rest of the world is looking for that Ukrainian ingenuity, which is really one of the incredible aspects of the story. So when people start talking about the need for the United States to stay in this fight just in case that they might be able to get some Patriot missile systems, or in case they might be
yeah,
able to get some Tomahawks, it's bullshit. It's all
yeah,
bullshit. The EU and Ukraine itself, along with the coalition of the willing, definitely has the capability to continue this fight, definitely has the capability to protect Ukraine. And seeing that resolved this week in Munich has been incredible.
yeah. And I think the Europeans also realize now that all the money that we're throwing into the Pearl, this NATO initiative to buy the arms and munitions that Ukraine needs from the US that we can't
Yeah.
produce ourselves, the US sells it at an overprice. Scott Bessent even said that on TV.
Hmm.
So they're just merchants of there, and
Mm.
that just that just increases the urge to get that defense industrial
Self-sufficient.
base
Yeah.
built out, and we can't do it yet, but there's no way around it, and we need to get there. And with the same, here in Europe, people without knowledge about intelligence, they say, but Ukraine still relies on the US for intelligence. But the French have replaced that. And, 75% the targeting data comes from French satellites now. And guess what? We need to all chip in to enlarge that satellite capability. And
Hmm.
we could replace that in a matter of months, because just last year when Donald Trump pulled the plug on the intelligence support, the French came in and the Europeans started to wake up. And that's why they can't. They've been doing this stuff all this year to try to get more capacity, to try to build the intelligence systems, etc., etc. So it's all helping out little by little. But there's a lot of people still say, oh, we can't do X, Y, Z, like
Bullshit.
Mark Rutte,
Bullshit. Yeah.
like Mark Rutte, and listen to him. And it's like either you can or you can't. But as I'm
You
trying to
don't have a
explain to
fucking
people,
choice.
it's not as if we with America are 100 and then without America we're zero. We can get to 75. We're probably at 75% on most things now, and we just have to make that extra leap.
Mm.
And yes, we won't have thousands of nuclear warheads next year, and it will be expensive, yes. But we have to do it. We have to get there. And now Macron, Merz, the UK is also talking about it. I saw Starmer talk about the need for a new, as I was talking about before, a new defense arrangement for Europe. And it's like the Brits that have always torpedoed that discussion in Europe, because they say, oh, we have NATO, we have our special relationship with the US, and now Starmer's are actually also starting to talk about it. So
Well,
the stuff
Starmer's also in the
happen.
fight of his life, and he needs a
Oh,
bit of a lift. So he's
but
currently under
hey,
the
guess
Epstein
what?
file
All
stuff. What's
this,
that?
all this tells us. All this
Yeah.
tells us. Just as Joe Biden was afraid to confront Donald Trump with a real hard security and defense policy and a real hard support for Ukraine because of all that World War III bullshit, you
Hmm.
know, the Europeans now, I'm willing to bet this, the European leaders will win the elections if they go all in and say, this is what Europe needs and we're not afraid. They lose elections by being so afraid and so,
Yeah.
the hand wringing and nervous and afraid to do the right thing.
Mm.
Show leadership, show the courage, tell the electorate what's going on for
Hmm.
real instead of all that
Hmm.
nonsense.
Mm. Dude, I love doing these Saturday Intel briefings with you. Not only do we get the real, but we get a really responsible explanation that is popularized in a way that only someone with your experience, being a former UN Security Council member, being a former Danish intelligence officer, and more importantly, having the values and the virtues of a fucking human being who's interested in protecting the sovereignty of not just his country, but all these countries that are being threatened. And we're talking nuclear deterrence today and a new concept of doing business outside of the United States for a very specific reason. It's because that idea that we're here to placate this prick is gone. It is evaporating very, very quickly. And seeing the, for a lack of a better term, scrote on EU leaders, and seeing people line up behind the concept of taking that fucking sign out of the window. Workers of the world do not unite behind any fascist regime. It doesn't matter what Donald Trump says. And seeing the results in some by-elections, special elections in the United States where Democrats are winning seats in Texas, like literally happening, hasn't happened since 1981. There is this idea that not only is better America winning, but democracy, somehow is winning, even though 72% of the world's population literally lives under the thumb of autocracy and dictatorships
Yeah.
in and around this beautiful planet we call home. And you can see it when you read the tea leaves and have conversations with people like Jacob, which everybody needs to follow right here on Substack. Jacob or Jacob, his name's Jacob. He was nice, never corrected me for a solid 10 months, but whatever. JACOB KAARSBO is where you can find him right here. His Intel briefings are fucking incredible, with a ton of personality and really honest information that you can set your watch to. He cuts through all the kife, if you will. So please give my friend Jacob a follow immediately. Hit that Chiron right at the top. And congratulations on the launch of your book. As I understand it, Subverted in Denmark is approaching, or if not a bestseller. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was on the bestseller list only after a few days. I haven't checked the last couple of days, but there are some reviews coming out these days, and the personal reviews that people have been kind to send me have been very nice, and I really appreciate it. A lot of people have had good things to say, and what's most important for me is that people say you've done an amazingly precise job to get the data out, to
Mm,
validate, and to document, because
mm,
this is about, I come with some pretty harsh criticisms and some hard things for Danes and Europeans to swallow about our cooperation with the US.
mhm.
So the documentation needs to be bang on point, and a lot of people have actually picked up that it's
Thank you for
precise.
fucking telling the truth. Yeah.
Yeah, and I really,
Hard to
that's the
find.
most important thing people can say, is that you documented this well,
Mm.
and this is a thorough book. And thanks to the journalist that I've written it with, it's not a boring a boring one as well, because he's really good at saying this is important, and we can take away the X, Y, Z. So it's really good. That's why I write it with a journalist.
Mm.
Because otherwise I'd get in some details and people say, that's boring.
Well, dude, you know what?
Yeah.
Listen, I got to tell you, I'm not Danish, so I haven't read it, but I've read some of the reviews, and there's a really nice piece that was done on your book in a Danish media outlet that spoke volumes of not just how accurate you were, but how you just told the fucking truth, and you also let people in on how dangerous this time is because of the subversion of intelligence between the United States and Canada, what that relation, not sorry, the United States and Denmark, what that relation has looked like in the past, and where we are today. And if anybody gets a chance, if you're Danish, Subverted is the name of the book, available in Denmark, and it will be
We
coming
will
in
get it
English,
out
right?
in English.
Let's do it.
We
I need
will.
to read it. All right. Listen, Jacob, thanks for doing this. You go prepare for your son's massive birthday party. Try to keep up with the youngins if you can tonight. And there's some people here that
Well,
are like, is he drinking in the morning? Listen, it's 6 hours ahead in fucking Copenhagen. He's
yeah,
having
it's
a glass of
almost
wine.
5 o'clock. It's almost 5 o'clock.
I knew I couldn't. There was like
Yeah.
3 or 4 people in the chat. They're like, "Oh my god, he's drinking wine in the morning. That's a problem." I'm like, "Hey guys, it's like literally dinner time in Copenhagen. You go and enjoy and say hi to Meta. Say hi to Matthias. Say hi to your lovely family. It was, and I don't know if Malcolm Nance has split yet. Has he left your house? I
Yeah,
know you adopted him for a few days.
yeah, he was here on Saturday, and yeah, he was traveling around doing tourist stuff in around Copenhagen with his fantastic wife Pam.
Oh yeah,
We had them here, a great night. Yeah, great. I need to write him a message to check whether he got into the US without any trouble, because nowadays you
never
won't
know.
really know,
Yeah.
would you?
No, yeah, we all need to get caught up and do one of these together and kind of recap and have a conversation. But listen, great to see you, pal. As always, thank you so much for taking time. Go and
Great
have
to
a
see
great
you.
evening with your son.
And
Happy
I have
birthday to
to say
Matthias.
to all our listeners, they must watch your conversation with our good friend Denver Riggleman the third. The third.
There's
The
3 of them.
third. Yesterday. It was brilliant. It was
Thank you.
brilliant. And yeah, talking about the emotions that you experienced in Greenland and here in Copenhagen,
Hmm.
and everything that went on. You even got me, my heart beating. It's about the purpose, and that's what we always discuss, Dean. So it's fantastic.
Yeah, strangely enough, we mean everything we say when we advocate for each other in these conversations. So thank you. And yeah, everybody go
We
watch that. And
actually bring
everybody,
our heart into it. We
yeah,
do.
yeah, which is weird. Which is weird when you turn around, you see your friends crying on a boat. You're like, this means something to them. They're not just here for clicks, which we're not. We're here to protect democracy and to stand up for our brothers and sisters. And that is why my friend Jakob is my nearest and dearest in Denmark. And everybody needs to give him a follow in Copenhagen. Thanks for doing this, buddy. Go have a great party. And we'll talk to you soon.
See you soon, man.
Take care, buddy. There's Jakob
You too.
Karsbo, ladies and gentlemen. Please go and subscribe to him and his intel briefings. They are absolutely spectacular. Thanks all for joining us. We'll be back with my friend Lev Parnas, Coffee and Tea with Lev and Dean in about an hour, hour and a half. We're going to spill some tea. And we'll see you then, everybody. Really appreciate it. And don't forget, if you'd like to subscribe here, as always, we appreciate it. Your subscription gets us to the top of the algorithm. More people get a chance to see it. Free or paid, doesn't matter. Sharing and hammering those hearts. Nancy, every single person that was involved in this conversation. Cheech, Pretty, Pravetti, I see you. Heidi, hi, Heidi. Hi, friends. Polysaurus, oh my God. Philosaurus. Mary Powers has just joined in. I'm always shocked and amazed that so many people show up to these things, but I couldn't be more grateful that you did. You can take my shit, just don't take my time, because I'll never get more of it. The fact that you choose to spend the most valuable commodity here with us and me to digest the information that we find important for democracy and a better republic is an honor of my lifetime and always will be. So thank you. Paid subs this month get 30% off annual subscriptions. As always, it is a wonderful way to say thank you if you appreciate the work that we've done, and it's an incredible way to support us and keep our eyes on the prize so that we don't all have to go get side gigs and side hustles or do work that is unbecoming. You give us the ability to be authentic with your paid subs. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We've got monthly, we've got founding memberships, but more importantly, sharing, and becoming a subscriber and part of this network and part of this resistance is how this stuff gets to be viral, and it gets to calm the situation down and give hope to those who truly need it, which is us, which is you. We are hostage America. We are Canada. We are Greenland. We are Denmark. We are every country that tries to stand for the right thing, for the right reasons, to give our privilege to those who truly need it. So thank you very much for joining us today. We'll see you Coffee and Tea with Lev and Dean. Lever members, go give him a sub. We'll be on his channel later on this afternoon. Michael Collins having a very bad week. Probably going to have a worse weekend. Anyway, have a great day. We'll see you more. See you. Oh, sorry. See you in about an hour. Bye, guys. Bye.